Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to check out the veteran Vateshran Hollows Arena. Timestamps in the description below, as well as the links to all the written guides, etc. Before we check out the boss fights, there is some important information that you should know. Now, first off, there is 3 arenas and the Endboss arena here. It only unlocks after you have cleared all of these 3. Depending on whether you're a magic or a stamina player, it is important to do these in different order. So on Magicka it is advised to do green, blue, red. And on stamina it is advised to do blue, red, green. Why is that? Because of different buffs. So let's take a look at some of these things here. There is a guide on alcasthq.com which explains everything in great detail, as well as on ESO Hub. English, German and French. Links in the description below. So you can check out all the loot that you get and so on. It's all here. First off, there is a difficulty scaling. So depending on which arena you do first. So the first arena you do, the bosses and the monsters will have low health, low damage. The second arena you do, the bosses and monsters will have like higher health and higher damage. In the last arena, the third one you do, the bosses and monsters have even more health and even more damage. It doesn't matter which rotation, it always scales like this. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. That's the first thing to understand. You can save the progress by having the quest active, and then after each boss it will save the progress. So you don't have to restart if you don't want to complete it in one go. There is Sigils, like in Maelstrom Arena. The defense Sigil, which mitigates damage, and the Ox Sigil for extra damage is especially useful. Sustain. Sets like False God for Magicka or Vicious Serpent for stamina will be very helpful. If you don't have these, don't worry. You can also use Consuming Trap, which, like when a monster dies, it returns like 8000 magic or stamina. You can also skip a lot of the monsters and so on. There's a lot of great information. Builds, all the solo builds on alcasthq.com do have Vateshran Hollows setups. As you can see here. I highly recommend running with the Ring of the Pyrelord. It's a new mythic item. You will find all the leads here. Currently, like when the Markarth DLC launches with the arena, this will also be here. It restores 18% of the damage you deal as health. That is very powerful. On all the runs I have actually done in the arena, let's see, I don't know, maybe pick the sword. There is also gameplay. I did a run on most of the setups, and at the end I usually showcase the combat metrics parts, and Pyrelord really heals for a lot, so it's very helpful. But don't worry, you don't need the Pyrelord ring to be able to clear it. I have done it on setups, like on stamina setups, arena or Magicka setups without the ring, and I've just done fine. But the Pyrelord ring will make a lot of things easier. If you want the easy clear, Magicka Sword, Magicka Nightblade are the go-to setups. They just have like so much healing while dealing damage, and they also can stay ranged. It's a lot easier on these two. But all setups work, like I mentioned. Now, the essence boosters, the most important thing that you need to understand. In each of the arena, you can gain a stamina buff in the green one, a Magicka buff in the blue one, and a health buff in the red one. That means you can get up to 10,000 extra stamina or Magicka or health. And when we look at my 1-bar Sorc setup here, I have 46k Magicka and 30k health. If I get the Magicka buff and the health buff, I actually almost have 60,000 Magicka and 45,000 health, because it also scales with modifiers. Yes, that's a lot. Very, very nice. I do have a map on the website which showcases where the essence is and where potential spawn locations of the remnant orbs are. So, the green arena has the endurance, the blue one, the Magicka buff, and the red one, the health buff. And then each arena also has remnant orbs. Each of these orbs increase the stat by another 1000. You can get up to 5 orbs per arena. Now it is important to note you can only get 2 out of the 3 ones, because to be able to get the green buff here, you need to have the lava orb mechanic, which you get in the red arena. Otherwise, you can't run through the lava, you will just die. The blue arena for the Magicka buff, you need the grapple hook mechanic to get through this zone here, which you gain in the green arena. And to get the health buff, you need to have the teleport mechanic, which you gain in the blue arena. That's why I said for Magicka players, you want to do green, blue, red, so you can get the Magicka buff and the health buff. For stamina players, you do blue, red, green, so you can get the health buff and the stamina buff. If you want to learn more about this in detail, you can always read it here. And then, like I said, there's also secret bosses that you can do for achievement or something like that, and how to get the die and so on. So that's a general introduction to the arena. So we pretty much covered all the important information, mostly in what rotation you want to do this, what kind of build setup you can use, and so on. So let's start with the boss explanations. We are in the green arena. The first boss is called Shade of the Grove. You're fighting lurchers and partially also brigands. They're not very dangerous at the start. You want to block this heavy attack that he does, otherwise you get stunned like I did here. It doesn't deal that much damage, but it's still recommended to block or dodge roll to avoid the stun. Now, you have to deal damage to this guy till 80%, then he will swap. You can only deal damage to these bosses if they're glowing yellow. And now the essence is moving to another one, so I can only deal damage to this guy, and the others are damage immune. The Spriggan here just started to drain my essence, so you will see that when the yellow beam shows up. It was only there for a short moment. If you fail to interrupt the Spriggan that drains your energy, you will not be able to deal damage to the bosses anymore. So you have to kill a Spriggan to regain the energy, or like that essence. So it's very important to make sure to interrupt the Spriggans once you see that weird yellow beam on you. I think we will see it soon again. Still, the bosses itself not very dangerous, just make sure to block or dodge roll and avoid the AoE attacks. But now it starts to get trickier, because we have 2 of them. And here is the yellow beam again. Go interrupt, no problem. If you fail to interrupt, the bosses will be damage immune and you have to kill the Spriggan. I always recommend having enough AoE damage, so like the small wolves die automatically. So I can still only deal damage to one guy. The essence is changing to the last one. Now I can only deal damage to that guy, but there's still, the other one is still alive. So you have to make sure to either tap target or really hit. You have to make sure to hit the right target. Keep your shield up, keep your healing up, and you will be fine here. There is a lot of stunning going on, and their heavy attacks can deal quite a bit of damage. But as long as you have your healing up and your shielding constantly, you should be fine. The wolves always die randomly. Now here you have seen I actually had trouble interrupting. If you tap target the boss and you're close to a Spriggan and then you try to interrupt, it might not work. So you might have to get rid of your tap target to be able to interrupt. The system sometimes just doesn't work. If you have way more DPS, this boss fight will be a lot faster, obviously. Like I mentioned, you can only damage the Lurcher that glows yellow and interrupt the Spriggan when he drains your essence. That's pretty much all the mechanics that are important here. And we get the kill. Dead. Next. The second boss in the green arena is called Rahdgarak, and probably the biggest pain in the ass in the whole arena. On Magicka you do this first anyway, so he doesn't have a lot of health, but on Stamina this is the last arena you do, and he will have a lot more health. So yeah, Magicka gets the cookie here. So the boss will jump from platform to platform sometimes, and if he does that, you need to follow with the grapple hook mechanic. Now one important thing, when you use the grapple hook, you are sheathing your weapon. And while your weapon is sheathed, you can block. So just keep that in mind. I once got wrecked while I tried to use grapple hook, and then the boss did his heavy attack, this one. You gotta block or dodge roll this. I would recommend dodge rolling it, because it deals a buttload of damage. He also has this charge that you just saw. You can either avoid it or also block it. Now if you're blocking this heavy attack, make sure to also shield up, because it deals so much damage. You might have noticed the boss also has a kind of whitish glow around him, and now it changes to red. There is a blue, or like a kind of a white bluish ground, and a red ground. If the boss has a gold color, you need to fight him on the blue ground. If he has a red color, you need to fight him on the white ground. At some point of the boss's health, the mages will actually start channeling, as you just have seen. And that means you will have to interrupt them. We will see it again soon. If you don't interrupt them, the platforms will completely light up and you will die. So you need to make sure to at least interrupt one or two of them. One is not enough, because if the boss changes color, you might not be able to deal damage to him anymore. Now they're channeling again, so I'm gonna interrupt 1, 2. And the third one over there. 3 is usually enough. And now I will keep fighting the Minotaur. Oh, he changed color again, so I have to move to the next platform. So there's a lot of RNG. Like I said, this is the biggest pain in the ass, because you do have to interrupt the mages. You do have to watch the color of the boss. You do have to watch for all his heavy attacks and charges that stun you. That's why it's very important to have enough stamina in this fight. The heavy attack, let's dodge roll it. There is archers outside, they don't really deal a lot of damage. But if you're using a skill like the Consuming Trap, or you have like Vicious Serpent or False God set, you can actually go kill them for extra resources. It's actually very nice. Yeah, grapple hooking around, it's huge. There's so much AoE. I always stay close to the mage. You can actually use the whole arena if you want to. Now I really need to go, because this arena is gonna explode. Next up, let's see how it goes. I try to save my ultimate for after, when he changes color. So he changed color, I move over. And now, if my ulti is ready, I'm gonna drop it. Because you don't wanna drop your ultimate and then it changes color and you will not do any damage. That would be annoying. And even though I have a lot of stamina, you see, I actually struggle. So you could be using tri-set potions, so you get more, like a higher stamina return. Because all the dodge rolling, blocking and bashing just drains your stamina like crazy. That's more of a problem on Magicka than on stamina. And you see, these color changes, they're insane. I'm sure they're gonna nerf this boss at some point, because a lot of people will fail here. And I think he is dead. Always keep up your healing and your shielding. This is the most important thing in this arena. If you do that, you will be safe. Now, that's it in the green arena. Let's move on to the next one. Blue arena, the first boss is called Zakuryn the Sculptor and the Flesh Abomination. There's 2 ways to do this. You can either kill them both at the same time, or one by one. If you kill one first, then the other one will enrage. So if you actually can time it properly, you should try to kill them both at the same time, like I will do here. But if not, then I recommend killing the mage first, and then afterwards the big guy. Because the big guy has this big smash, which will one-shot you if you stand in it, but nothing else really. His other attacks don't do a lot of damage. Now if the mage has a shield like this, make sure that the big smash, this one, goes onto him. Then the shield will be removed. And then you can damage the mage again. Always make sure to keep up your shields and heals, and then you will be safe here. Now you will see I'm gonna pop my ultimate very soon, and they're pretty much gonna die at the same time. I'm focusing just the big guy now. If you're too slow, then and one guy already dies, the other one will enrage. He's not gonna one-shot you, but he will regain health. So that's why I say kill both at the same time, which is way easier. And we're done. And afterwards, the portal mechanic. Don't worry, like this is not bugged here. A lot of people told me like, well, I went in there and then it just reset me. There's a time limit, 20 seconds. If you don't pick up one of these glowy orbs, which give you extra time, then you get teleported back. You can see here I actually pick up one of my magic orbs. Very nice. Or you don't need to kill the monsters unless you want score. Then you gotta pick up the lever here and you will be able to continue the arena. So a lot of people actually got confused by this mechanic. The NPC actually tells you how it works, but nobody listens to these usually. The second boss in the blue arena is called Iozuzzunth. The boss will always stay in the middle. If you're a ranged player, the fight will be easier because his light attack deals a lot of damage, but if you're far away, you're not gonna get hit. There is monsters upstairs. I recommend just ignoring them because they spawn so fast there is no point killing them. Unless you need resources, then you actually can go up and kill because they only have very low health. There will be big eyes that spawn from time to time. Make sure to go in front or behind them. The one here you see on the left. The boss will do a flame AoE attack, and if it actually hits the eye like now, it will deal damage to it. So you barely have to do damage to this big eye. The boss will actually kill it. I think in a second he will do it again, yes, and you see, bam, dead. Movement here is important because the laser beams, there will be more and more. Because more watchers will spawn upstairs. And yeah, it's gonna be kind of like in a disco, or whatever you want to call it. Moving around, you're not gonna hit by the beams, you will be fine. Depending on your DPS, the fight will last longer and more of these big eyes will appear. There's 4 different ones. There's the Sentinel, they're called Sentinels, yeah. There's one with vulnerability, so you take more damage. There's one where you deal less damage. There's one which will drain your health, and there's one that slows you down. Nonetheless, always make sure to kill them if they show up. Now the flame AoE actually missed, but whatever. And you can see the damage is still quite heavy because the monsters upstairs also do kind of like light attacks. But as long as you don't get hit by the green beams, we are good to go. Keep up your shield, keep up your healing abilities. In my case here, I do activate my shield. Like if I drop low on health, I always activate my shield and then I use the bird to heal me. So the only issue, or like the only thing where I run into problems is when the orb appears and I didn't see it because it's behind me. And then I get more damage and it might kill me. But other than that, move around and you're good to go. Now I dropped another ulti. And in this case, I'm just gonna ignore the eye on the other side because the boss is almost dead. Now you can see, if you're a meaty setup, this will be a lot tougher because you have to stand close to the boss, which will be a pain in the ass. Trust me. But yeah, anyway, boss is dead. There's not a lot of mechanics, but some, like the eye, you need to make sure to kill it. Red Arena, the first boss is called the Magma Queen, and this is our last like arena on Magicka, so the boss will have the highest health and the most damage. Here, the boss itself is not really a problem, but more so the ads that will spawn. So the scamps, I place my blockade on the ground to ensure that they also hit the scamps. a little bit, so they die from time to time. If you're too far away, just make sure to kill them like separately. They don't have a lot of health, but if you're wearing like False God or Vicious Serpent, it really increases your sustain by quite a bit. In general, the sustain is fine on most boss fights if there is ads around. There is a lava, or like a geyser that pops up. If you kill the big guy, you can throw. You can activate the synergy and throw his like bubble into the geyser, and everything will get stunned. I think I did it too late here, so it didn't work. Save your ultimate for as much monsters as possible. The more of them that die, the better. At some point, a Daedroth will also spawn. And fire AoE will come from the edges, but both of these don't do a lot of damage. But the Daedroth has like this fire breath, which stuns you, so be aware of that. There's a lot of AoE damage on the ground, but it's fairly easy to actually just avoid, like not stand in there, and you're good to go. Another guy's here. I think I decide to just ignore it in my case, because I have a pretty big shield anyway. Okay, do I throw it? Nope, I did not, it's gone. The guy's here is not there for a very long time. You could also like dodge roll once or twice to not get any damage. Yeah, this boss not particularly difficult, but has quite a lot of health if it's the last stage, so it takes a while. And you could get overrun by all the monsters, because they keep spawning. But if you have enough AoE damage, they will keep dying. Just be aware of the scams. Hey, boss dead. Now you will see the lava orb. We can heavy attack it, and now we can walk through lava. You need to stay close to it. Otherwise you might not get the buff, and you need to heavy attack it for it to explode. The second boss of the red arena is called the Pyrelord. This one is a bit more tricky, because he deals quite a lot of damage. The start is not that hard. He only really has his light attack and his fire breath, but easy avoidable. If you get hit by it, there will be a powerful fire dot on you. Now this mechanic, you gotta move out. You cannot run between the flames. At least it didn't work when I tried it because of these things, so I always just stayed range. You see the lava orb is also in this fight. Once the boss smashes his sword into the ground, you wanna go get the lava orb, so you're immune to fire damage or to lava damage, because everything will light up. Outside you see 3 different small platforms, and every time the boss smashes his sword into the ground, one of them will light up. So I could go get the lava orb and run into the fire there to extinguish it. Because if all 3 platforms glow, then the boss will do a special attack and his sword will be on fire and deal even more damage. If you have a shield and enough healing, it won't be an issue, but I actually didn't understand that mechanic for quite a bit, so make sure you remember that. If you have too slow damage, then you can go get the lava orb and extinguish the flames in the small circles. Here I actually decided to get the last health orb remnant, so I get a little bit more health. The boss follows, but we gotta go back. Kinda funny. Now the Colossus that spawned, I would always recommend saving the ultimate for the Colossus, because he's actually quite dangerous. So I make sure to kill him as fast as possible. And I looked around there for a second to actually see where the orb is, because the boss might use the lava attack again. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to the lava orb and I heavy attack it. Now I should have gone and extinguished the flame, but I did not. And now all 3 flames outside in the arena burn. And the boss has this special mechanic. This one is not really dangerous, it doesn't do any damage, but He will ignite his sword now, and it will deal a lot more damage and do this kind of like heavy attack. But still, it's not that big of a problem if you have a shield or enough healing. But you can see now, like my health bounces around a lot more. But you can avoid that by picking up the lava orb, the heavy attack it, and then bring it to the flame in these small circles and extinguish it. Now he's on a break. It looks kind of like he's coughing something up, and the sword is gone. So now he won't do that much damage again. If you have a lot of damage, you can burn down the boss fairly fast, but in our case with the 1-bar build, we have like only mediocre damage, but a lot of like survival with high health and high shields. The biggest issue for most players here is like if you place your AoE on the ground, you gotta make sure that the boss also stands in it, because you can place as much AoE as you want, and if the monsters don't stand in it, they won't get damage. So I'm waiting for the boss to come to me, and then popping the ultimate, and we're good to go, because I want to kill the Colossus. If you have enough DPS, you can just skip the second Colossus, but I'm playing safe here, so I'm killing him. If you forget to use the lava orb during this mechanic, you can just spam your shield and it will be enough. The perk of being a Magicka player. On stamina, you can use Vigor, but it's a lot trickier to actually survive. So there's not a lot of mechanics, but some of them do a buttload of damage. Okay, almost dead. Always go out. You don't want to get hit by that flame. It's a one-shot. I tried several times and it always one-shot you. And he's dead. After completing all 3 arenas, the middle one will glow and you can enter it to face the end boss called Maebroogha, the Void Lich, or however you pronounce that. The boss here is not the biggest threat, it's more so that all the ads are kind of a pain in the ass, and there is one DPS check. We will see that in a second. But the fight starts out fairly easy with the boss in the middle. Make sure to avoid this slow growing AoE attack that he starts doing right now. Don't stand in it, otherwise it will deal quite a bit of damage and apply a debuff. There is Colossus that spawn, and now you see there's a lot of AoE damage. The boss does like these circles, just don't stand in them, they're very easy to avoid. The Colossus is more of a danger, because at some point you will have 3 of them, so I would recommend killing 1 or 2 of them at least. This here's a DPS check. You need to kill 1 of these shades, or like ghosts. If you fail to do so, everything will explode and you die. You have around, I think, 25 seconds. Let's see, yeah, around like 25 seconds. And then when you kill 1, the beam will break and you can move out. If you try to dodge roll through the beam, you will instantly die. But don't worry, even if it gets very small, you still have time. Once the boss is at 10%, we will have to grapple hook to the outside area. And you can already see we also have a bow guy which spams snipe on us, very frustrating. So I always try to line up my AoE damage on all the monsters so they take damage and then at some point die. I try to focus the main boss all the time. So now the big orb shows up, the middle arena gets like, it starts to almost explode, and then you go into this zone. Here in the red arena, a mage spawns and Pyrelord again. You need to kill them both. The longer it takes you to kill them, the higher the boss health will be. So you can see the main boss health starts healing and healing and healing and going up. So you gotta make sure to kill this guy. The same mechanics as with the boss fight, nothing really different. The more DPS, the faster. Then you wanna go back, rinse and repeat. we have to bring him down to 10% again. So for the next arena. DPS check, they always show up usually after the arena is done. Like after we're done outside. Gotta kill one of them. And you see, I don't really have the most damage, but because I have the health orb and the magic orb, I have so much max magicka and max health. So I can face tank a lot of the damage. More monsters will spawn. Now there's also mages that spawn. Very annoying. Gotta try to interrupt this guy if possible. On this build in particular, I do heavy attacks that also deal a lot of AoE damage. Use my ultimate in the middle. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, everything dies. Like I said, the main boss is not the biggest problem here. It's usually just you get overrun by ads. Because we only have a 1-bar build in our case here, we don't have that much damage. If you have a normal build, you will do way more damage and things die faster. So same thing. Now we're in the next... Ooh, I almost died here. Ay. Bird heal saved me, no problem. You gotta kill that Minotaur dude. Mobs also follow you into this Shadow Realm or whatever you want to call it. I moved to the back so the mages actually get closer to the Minotaur, so they also stand in my AoE damage. Positioning is very important. The boss is healing up, so we gotta make sure to kill this Minotaur as fast as possible. For example, on a Magicka Nightblade, which has pretty much the highest DPS, the boss usually gets to around 30% health, and then I already go back. But because here we don't have that much damage, it takes way longer. Interrupt the mage's fire rodeo. Once he's dead, we can go back. Always shield up when you go through that portal, because sometimes mobs stand behind it and you get clapped into heaven. DPS check again. You don't need a lot. These monsters have around, I think, 200, 250k, something like that. Yeah. Ultimate. Now the beam is broken and we can go out. Keep my shield up. Deal as much AoE damage as possible. It's very important to note, especially if you run Ring of the Pale Order, which also heals you while you deal damage. The more monsters you hit, the more healing you will get. Otherwise, I would use Critical Search here if I don't have the Pale Order ring, like I explained like at the very beginning of the guide. Almost at 10%. These Colossus are just such a pain in the ass, they do so much damage. That's why I try to always kite. So, because when you move around, you get less damage. Okay, the boss is about to be on 10%. And we go into the next phase. Almost. Not yet. Okay, there we go. Monsters again. And there's this mage that you need to kill. Basically, Zakuryn, pretty much. I like to save my ultimate for this phase. Because the faster I kill these monsters, like the main mini-boss, the less health Maebroogha will get. And then we have to spend less time in the main arena. But we have a heavy attack 1-bar build here, so our damage is not the greatest. But the build is not optimized for that. The solo builds, the normal solo builds on alcasthq.com have way more damage. So the boss usually gets like 30-40% and then we get back. So, after all 3 of these stages are done, like these grapple hook Shadow Realms, it's the last time and you can kill the boss. But remember, all these annoying monsters will keep spawning and spawning and spawning. The DPS check will keep showing up. There's other things. Moving around, dealing damage, very important. Because like I said in the beginning, you fight more the ads and not really the boss. Because the boss itself, not the biggest problem. Nothing really one-shots you except the DPS check, but because there's so much, like the Fire Rodeo, the Colossus, the Snipe guy, the Minotaur, it adds up. But because we are the 1-bar build, I keep reapplying my shield so the monsters can't really damage my health at all. That's the key to this key to this build, and he's dead. And at the end, you can claim your loot if you wish to do so. If you did this on veteran mode, you do get the skin. So overall, I would say up to the last boss, the arena is definitely easier than Maelstrom, but the last boss requires good movement, and there's just so much ads that you get hit in the face with, which can be very tricky. Like mentioned before, I recommend checking out the playlist on YouTube if you want to see a full run. I did runs on all classes and almost all setups already, so you can compare it if you want to. And please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, that would be much appreciated. I also do have a second YouTube channel where I do upload past live streams from Twitch. I also do have a Twitch, obviously. Make sure to go check out alcasthq.com for builds, guides. We have a lot of beginner guides and so on. It's all there. And eso-hub.com. If you need information about sets, skills, like, we have it all here. You can find everything as well as the Vateshran guide and plenty more content. So make sure to go check it out. I do have Instagram if you want to follow me over there. We do have a Discord server, I do have a Twitter and a Facebook. So pretty much everything. All the links in the description. So as a conclusion, I would say I definitely like Vateshran Hollows more than Maelstrom Arena. I feel like the concept is better. It feels more like a dungeon than an arena. But the problem with Maelstrom Arena is like you get overrun by monsters quite fast. And this doesn't happen that often here, because you kind of can choose yourself how many monsters you want to kill at once. In a Maelstrom Arena you don't have that choice, because 6 monsters spawn and they will all immediately attack you. And that overwhelms a lot of players. Now I have shown the guide with the 1-bar Magicka, because with other builds the bosses are dead before I can explain anything. And the 1-bar build is made so you can focus more on environments. It doesn't have the highest damage, obviously, but it has huge shields and only 1 bar, so you can focus more on the environment and less on your like weapon swapping abilities and so on. Because the biggest reasons players die is because they don't activate their shields enough and they don't keep their healing abilities up. Right? They get confused which bar they are on and so on. Resource management, but the builds on alcasthq do cover all that. Only very tricky place is the last boss. Like I feel like up to the last boss the arena is easier than Maelstrom Arena, like the Vateshran Hollows Arena. But on the last boss the Lich really increases the difficulty curve, because again you have the main boss and you have so much monsters attacking you. You have to grapple hook to other places, so if you miss that you're instantly dead. There's a lot of things to take care of, so that one might take you a while. Like I mentioned before, use Sigils. There is Sigils on all the bosses, and Sigils make the fight a lot easier. That's pretty much it for now. I will obviously keep uploading more runs in the future. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. Cheers.